Greetings, I'm Solidus-Skully, and welcome back to the Freelancer commentary as we finally enter the Tau system. By the way, don't worry too much about that flashing biohazard symbol. That usually indicates radiation in the area, but you don't have to worry too much unless, of course, you're in either high-density fields or, well, nearby to a sun, which will gradually eat away at your hull, and that's what you're going to pay attention to. Now, your shields won't be affected, but the red health bar will, so, yeah, keep nanobots on standby. To kind of reiterate here, there is actually an entire star system far off on the Omicron systems that actually, well, let's just say if you don't have a very powerful ship and a lot of nanobots, will eat your hull away in seconds, so, yeah, do be careful. And the other thing to bring on before we finally go off towards this outcast base, and indeed, come towards our next part of the plot where the Order rears their ugly head again, yeah. We're not going to be seeing a lot of Kusari space to really smell the roses. Again, this is very much just focusing on the storyline of Freelancer, so yeah, you will be seeing a bit of that, but at the same time, though, it's also a factor of, well, you know, you'll just be seeing bits and pieces here and there. I just wanted to bring this up now because, well, again, I will still be talking about the Kusari systems and, you know, a few bits and bobs here and there in tandem with the main plot. It's just also the idea that, well, you know, storyline, and there's also going to be an amount of cutscenes following on from this, so, yeah, in the meantime, I'll just take a drink of the Pepsi, and you can enjoy more of the unraveling plot of Freelancer as we meet some new faces in strange places. So, see you in a bit.
Juni, maybe you and Sinclair should stay with the ships.
Quiet! We just need to find Cress.
State your business.
My name is Quintain. I'm here to see Cress.
Colonel Cress sees no one.
He'll see me.
He sees no one.
Don't go and do that. Now that I've got your attention, take us to see the Colonel.
I think, my friend, you misunderstand your position. I'm expendable.
Dr. Quintain.
Cress.
I'm pleased to see that you're all right after all. And you brought protection. Very wise. Please tell him to stand down.
Mr. Trent.
Come, Dr. Quintain. We have much to talk about. Let me offer you the sanctuary of my base.
Thank you. We'll need a place to continue our research.
We have facilities at your disposal, of course. You see, we've had our eye on Dr. Quintain and his research for quite some time. When Dr. Sinclair made her discovery, it caused quite a stir among our enemies.
What enemies? The Rhinelanders?
Let's just say that your enemies are our enemies.
Give me a straight answer. Who do you work for, Colonel?
The Order.
You work for Aurelian?
Despite what you may have heard, we are only interested in freedom and peace.
If that's so, then why all of the attacks?
I understand your suspicion, but we are not guilty of nearly as much as your media would suggest. For now, please accept my hospitality and the spirit in which it is offered. Tell me, what else do you require of me?
What if I'm right? There's something we've overlooked. We need the Proteus tome.
What's that?
It's a piece of parchment that rests in the Natural History Museum in Kusari.
I think it holds the answer to the artifact. It's kept in a sealed titanium cylinder in the archives.
Very well. That shouldn't be difficult. We have an agent in Kusari who may be useful for this. Lord Hakkera. He's a local potentate. He can arrange for its liberation.
No dice, Cress. I'm going myself.
You don't really trust me, do you, Mr. Trent?
No. But if, as you say, your enemies are our enemies, you won't deny me this.
Or me. If you're going, I'm going.
Mr. Trent? Miss Zane? I was told you would be coming. I'm Lord Hakkera. I am the prefect of Honshu. Is there a problem?
I'm sorry, you're just not what I expected.
You expected a terrorist, then? I serve the Order to help my people, Mr. Trent. I understand that you are here for the Proteus tome. Unfortunately, that will not be easy. The artifacts in the museum have come under renewed scrutiny. I will need to secure a special permission for us to be allowed access.
Lord Hakkera.
Please excuse me. I've recently lost contact with one of my operatives in Rhineland. This may be news. I will be in touch once I get access to the Proteus tome.
That's it? What are we supposed to do now? Wait?
Like hell we will. I have contacts here too. To get to them, we're gonna have to split up for a while.
What am I supposed to do around here while you're gone?
You should try to fit in a little. Maybe get some work. By the sound of things, this may take a while. Don't worry. I won't be far. You came?
Yeah, I was starting to wonder if we were partners anymore.
I just had to dig a little deeper than I thought. Trent, I heard from Lord Hakkera. He says that the Proteus tome and all of the museum artifacts have now come under the personal control of Governor Tekagi. Hakkera can't help us.
What do you mean? That's why we came.
You have to understand Kusari customs. Hakkera is a lord. His position gives him power, but it also limits him. There's only so much he can do before he violates his station. Anyway, I'm onto something, but you're gonna have to trust me on this one. If we do this, we do it together, understand? Are you in?
Why not? I've come this far, haven't I?
Thank you. Ozu, this is Trent, the man I told you about.
Ah, Mr. Trent. Junko speaks highly of you. Please, sit.
Thanks.
Since Junko's departure to Liberty, many things have changed here. The old ways are dying out as we become more of a melting pot of cultures. Do you understand?
I think I do.
The one thing that has not changed is the face of treachery. It is something that we have fought for many generations.
Ozu is a lieutenant in the Blood Dragons, a counter-political group that opposes the Shogun.
The reason the Blood Dragons have survived is because of our ability to adapt and change, to outmaneuver the stronger opponent. This would not be possible without carefully nurtured relationships, Mr. Trent. Which brings me to you. I am told that you and the Order seek a certain artifact.
That's right. The Proteus tome. It's fallen under the control of Governor Tekagi.
Yes, Tekagi. He has been acting strangely, even for him, since his return from Rhineland. Our sources now say that there is a secret transport being loaded with these artifacts, bound from Tekagi, back to the Chancellor. We believe the Proteus tome is one of those on board.
How much time do we have?
Little. Particularly since Tekagi himself may be on that transport.
He's defecting?
We believe so. With an offering to his new lord and master, the Chancellor. Our vendetta with Tekagi is an old one. Unfortunately, we may have only this one last opportunity to repay him for his crimes. Mr. Trent, here is what I propose. You and the Order shall have what you desire, if you help rid us of Tekagi.
Trent, Tekagi is a traitor to his people.
He deserves to die. Do us this service.
Agreed.
Excellent. We leave at once.
So, plenty of new characters to meet. We don't really get to see much of Cress anymore from this point forward, but yeah, Lord Hakkera and Ozu. Lord Hakkera working for the Order, and Ozu working for, well, the Blood Dragons. Yeah, in terms of all the factions here, again, there is like a current, you know, Shogun as Kusari's leader in place, but yeah, the whole deal with the Blood Dragons, I mean, again, apart from what we're working with right here, is that basically the Blood Dragons were, again, very much... Well, they were, again, in eons past, they were basically the elite guard of the original Shogun, Hideyoshi. Except he ended up getting betrayed and assassinated, and, yeah, a lot of this has to do with, you know, the Kusari government's ties towards, the Samura Corporation, that has basically snaked their hold around a lot of the Kusari government, and been given a lot of leeway, which basically left, you know, the original Shogun's guard, well, without a pot to piss in, and basically facing death's door, so they ended up becoming, you know, the equivalent of a criminal political enterprise known as the Blood Dragons, hoping to basically reinstate, you know, order towards a galaxy that they feel is corrupt, and, yeah, that's pretty much all she wrote. What this basically means for everything else is, again, in, well, some might say stereotypical Japanese fashion, is that, again, they are very dedicated, very efficient, and, it's even saying something that the very snarky Edison Trent, you know, as he remarks about all his characters and, his logbook, does actually pay a lot of respect towards Ozu and the Blood Dragons for just how skilled a pilot they are and just how dedicated they are towards their missions, which does begin to change Trent's outlook, for the lack of a better phrase, especially at this point in the game where Trent begins to stop seeing this as just, Ugh, fuck, I'm never gonna get paid, I just want to get my money and fuck off, and, you know, gradually begins to see the bigger picture. I mean, his attitude and personality doesn't change, like, radically or anything, but again, it is just a sort of, you know, he realizes the chips are downs, and... chips are downs? God, I gotta work on my diction. But yeah, he does realize that, you know, he's gotta shape up and take things a bit more seriously, and, by that stage, yeah, nice bit of character development, even if subtle. But yes, indeed, in any case, to get back to what we're doing, yes, this also brings us to our next major player, who we haven't quite met yet, but it is actually a rather prominent figure in the news if you know, look at Kusari and everything. Yes, Governor Tekagi, the one who's holding the Proteus tome that Quintain and Sinclair need, and, yeah, to talk about Takagi's whole deal, again, he was basically a rather prominent Kusari politician, and what his deal is that basically he was involved in, you know, some talks between Queen Karina and President Jacobi about, you know, utilizing a united front against Rhineland, who were currently stepping up their patrols and, basically getting on the warpath, really, so... Yeah, Tekagi was just in talks with, you know, 2 of the foreign leaders, but then he was invited by Chancellor Neiman for, well, a talk about the artifact trade. So yeah, he's basically off in Rhineland right now, and, yeah, as Ozu, had mentioned, he's come back changed. His, perspective is a little bit different, and, yeah, we're gonna be seeing the fruits of that in the next part as we actually get to meet Mr. Tekagi in the flesh, or so it would seem. But yeah, needless to say, our current mission of the now is basically all against Tekagi and, yeah, just the escalating wars in the background of, you know, our current mission, and indeed, how everything centers around alien artifacts and, well, the Domkovot, as Quintana brought up, as this ancient mysterious race that, have a lot of hidden secrets that are playing very much an effect into the now. But yes, in the meantime though, as we head towards this little dry dock where Takagi's, you know, Proteus tome transport is, yeah, basically it's a bit of a two-pronged operation. You know, Trent alongside, you know, Ozu and his fighters are pretty much going to be, you know, holding off the flotsam of space fighters there to protect it. In the meantime, some of his team are pretty much going to board the station, you know, take out all the guards on board, and pretty much steal the ship right out from under them, and, squad-a-la, we do the thing, and thus we have a Proteus tome, and can continue on our merry way. So, as we have another space battle Sugar-Me-Doo, yes, our current ship of the now. The Barracuda! Dun 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 dun. Yeah, this is very much our next ship of the now, the Barracuda. Basically, the next evolution in terms of the bounty hunter fighters. First of all, there's the Piranha, then there's the Barracuda, and then you get the Hammerhead, all named after aggressive fish. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the overall stats, I would say that the Barracuda is probably your best bet compared to the likes of, well, would it though? I mean, there are two ships that I really recommend having. One is either the Barracuda, as you're seeing right now, the other of which would be the civilian Hawk Fighter, which, again, you saw Tobias have, you know, back when we escaped from Bretonia, but, yeah, I think it really depends on what you're going for. The Hawk is more of a light fighter kind of thing, so again, it's more maneuverable, and, while it doesn't have as many gun ports, you can very much just sort of escape, you know, and, you know, get out of trouble quickly if you're good at maneuvering. The Barracuda is very much a heavy fighter kind of deal, so, yeah, again, if you want to have more gun mounts, then, you know, this thing's pretty much your uncle, really. And it is around here where you do get to start to play with, some of the more fantastical toys, really, so, yeah, it's really depending on your choice, really. There are, of course, some other Kusari sort of fighters, like, again, you have, like, a heavy fighter and, you know, light fighters and all that kind of stuff. I used them on, like, some of my earliest playthroughs of Freelancer, but, never really found them to be particularly useful compared to the Hawk and, Barracuda as I found on later playthroughs, so... Yeah, it's, nothing really to... nothing that really grabbed my interest, so, yeah. But I mean, again, that's really just more to do with the whole, you know, level gating compared to how you can get your ships and equipment and all that. But again, I pretty much said my piece on all of that at this stage, so again, as we pretty much, you know, take out the last of these naval fighters and, you know, make tracks with the Proteus tome, yeah, I guess I might as well talk about, well, yeah, I suppose some of the other criminal factions in the Kusari system, and there aren't really that many. I mean, there's technically three factions, the first of which would be the Hogosha, which is basically like a sort of farming alliance that is, basically just sort of there to be, well, again, affiliates and, you know, against the whole idea of synth foods and, you know, Samura Enterprises and that kind of thing. At least I think. I should probably double check on that, but, yeah, the other major criminal faction in this system would be the Golden Chrysanthemums, which is basically an all-female led, you know, criminal organization that's basically the result of, and again, I do think it is actually based on some historical Japanese institution. I don't think it's specifically related to feminism, but it's pretty much just sort of based on the principle of, you know, an organization of women that basically reject a lot of traditional Japanese feminine doctrines and, you know, how women are supposed to act and behave. And, again, basically going with the whole idea that, again, they want to overthrow the Kusari government, instate an empress, as, you know, turning the whole government into a matriarchy. And in that sense, well, yeah, basically following a novel that was released in Kusari about, you know, chrysanthemums in bloom, so to speak, which dealt with a lot of those sorts of themes. Of course, again, why I bring this up is that, again, the Golden Chrysanthemums are allies of the Blood Dragons, and even though they both want to overthrow the government for very different reasons, well, again, much like the Lane Hacker said, the enemies of our enemies are our frenemies, so, yeah, they're both sort of using each other's ends. The difference maker being between the Blood Dragons and Golden Chrysanthemums being is that while the Blood Dragons are very much on the straight and narrow and, well, I wouldn't say are entirely pious, but, you know, at the very least are more so willing to fight and die for their cause, yeah, the Golden Chrysanthemums are very much addicted to cardamine, which is, again, as I mentioned in previous parts, drugs that are being peddled by the Outcasts, which, as I mentioned somewhat insidiously, well, is pretty much the Outcasts' plan to take over. And they've basically gotten the Golden Sea hooked on that drug, and ostensibly, well, yeah, let's just say there's a little bit more shady dealings going on with cardamine than, well, what you might be suspecting. But yeah, all I'm going to say about the whole cardamine drug trade for now, again, it is considered contraband in, you know, Liberty space, and I don't want you flying around with that. So again, if you get scammed by a Liberty police ship while you're in the, say, the New York system, for instance, with cardamine in your cargo hold, yeah, things are going to turn ugly really, really quickly. But there is a reason for that, because, yeah, one of the key components of cardamine is alien organisms. Very interesting. Yeah, what am I talking about with alien organisms? I mean, sure, we have alien artifacts, but you know what, I'm sure the Dom Kavash are long since gone, and there's no other alien interference going on. It's just, I mean, aliens in a science fiction game? Pull the other one. Oh dear. More violence. Yes, but anyway, kind of an interesting point of contention, actually, is really the fact that a lot of people refer to Ozu as a sensei. And I mean, again, as you learn in his backstory with, you know, Juni, she did actually know him back when he was, you know, a student studying, you know, politics at a university. And again, like, he's gotten enough skills and earned a lot of the Blood Dragon's respect as, you know, a capable fighter and leader. So, again, I mean, Ozu... Again, he's certainly earned his chops, and again, it is saying something when even someone as cynical as Trent, who, again, has obviously dealt with a lot of people throughout his time as a traitor throughout the galaxy, and, you know, time as a freelancer, that, you know, he does have a lot of respect for Ozu, which, again, is, you know, it's the mark of meritocracy and character. You see, Ozu is a legitimate character actor, where he goes to other people and go, "Are you legit? Are you a legitimate character actor, such as myself?" And yeah, that's pretty much all she wrote in this case. One thing I will say about, you know, all of this, in terms of Kusari space, in terms of the soundtrack, really fucking good soundtrack, especially the one that goes, whoa, whoa. Again, poor imitation, I know, but, it's, again, it's quite good. I mean, they do theme a lot of their, instrumentals around, like, a lot of, well, I suppose what you would consider very typical stuff around there. Like, I mean, again, Liberty, you have, like, a lot of that sort of, like, bold as brass, Star-Spangled Banner kind of thing. You know, mixed in with a bit of, like, you know, electronica and a bit of orchestral stuff. Bretonia has, like, a lot of those, gothic sort of, you know, bell chimes and everything like that. And, of course, Kusari has, like, a lot of that, you know, shimisan and, you know, like a lot of very oriental, for lack of a better phrase, instrumentation, which, again, does well to characterize each of these environments, but at the same time, it also keeps, like, a lot of the very spacey, you know, sort of ambient techno music very much at the forefront, which is, quite frankly, excellent. I mean, I've said it before and I'll say it again, Freelancer's soundtrack. It is well worth, picking up or at least listening to on YouTube, because, again, this game's soundtrack is fantastic. Now go, Mr. Trent. Enter the jumping hole, where hopefully you won't die, slip a sideways dimension in time, or, I don't know, have a stray pebble crack the glass of your barracuda. Dun 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 dun.
Identify yourself, or you will be destroyed. This is Lieutenant Ozu. Stand down, patrol. We have captured Tekagi's transport and are escorting it back to Kyoto as ordered. Yes, Sensei. We are almost there. Junko, Mr. Trent, follow me.
I have the coordinates. Trent, you take the lead. Where are we going?
To Kyoto.
Kyoto? Trent, that's the legendary home of the Blood Dragons. I don't know anyone who's ever seen it. Ozu, you honor us.
The honor is ours.
Well, Juni, you want to be surprised? I've been to Kyoto. Yes, me, Solidus-Skully. I have been to Kyoto. Well, that is to say the Earth City in Japan, Kyoto, not the Blood Dragon base. Mainly because I'm pretty sure I'll be fucking dead by the time we hit, the 3100s, so ack waste. In any case, this is the Chugoku system. Basically, it's all dominated by the Blood Dragons, and, yeah. Basically a bit of a jump hole haven between, different star systems, so, yeah. This is pretty much where the Blood Dragons call home, and, yeah, not really too much you can really explore, but, you know, if you want to do missions with the Blood Dragons, Bob's your uncle, really. So, yeah, more stories pretty much going to be happening, but in between now and then, you know, you do have missions that you can do in this sector before, you know, tasks to continue, so in that case, I'm Solidus-Skully, keeping new metal, and next time on the Freelancer commentary, well, next time we're pretty much going to be taking the fight right to Governor Tekagi and, well, making a few discoveries, some tragic and some, well, horrifying. Catch you next time.